All right, hello, welcome to COM 231, YouTube version 3. This is our public speaking course, and I wanted to cover chapter 12 with you, which is the types of organizational arrangements, as we haven't had time to cover this in class, but this is vitally important, and we're going to see these organizational arrangements come up again. Put very simply, the organizational arrangements, this is going to be how you're going to arrange the main points of your speech. So that's what this is referring to. So depending on your speech topic, depending on your speech purpose, right, to inform, to persuade, to give an award, that's all going to depend on and figure into what type of organizational arrangement that you choose. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and we'll be able to talk about this more in person, but just wanted to go ahead and get this information to you. All right, 6 commonly used patterns: chronological, spatial, causal, otherwise known as a cause and effect, a topical, a narrative, and a problem solution. All right, so your chronological speech points, this is when your main points are going to follow a natural order, right? So you would use this when you're describing events in time, the topic develops in line with a set pattern, or the topic involves timelines. So your ebook in chapter 12 gives a pretty good example, right? So the thesis statement in this example is: the internet evolved from a small network designed for military and academic scientists into a vast array of networks used by billions of people around the globe. Main point 1, the internet was first conceived in 1962, Main point 2, in the 1980s, a team created a language that could link the networks together, right? So you see how it's following a natural order of time. So depending on what it is that you're speaking about and what it is that you're trying to achieve, this may be an arrangement that makes sense. Okay, so a spatial pattern of arrangement, this is a pattern of organizing main points in order of physical proximity or direction relative to each other, right? So it's used when giving a quote-unquote tour of a particular place. Right, so if your speech is, if you're informing someone of what it's like to go to Hawaii, for example, you could arrange your main points by what it is that you're seeing around you, right? Main point 1 could be the volcanoes to the right. Main point 2 could be the beaches that are sandy white. Main point 3 could be the crystal clear water and there's people sailing or fishing or surfing or something, right? So you would create a picture with words. Does that make sense? I hope that does. And this can be, again, very, very effective depending on the topic or the purpose of the speech. All right, so a causal pattern speech. This is a pattern of organizing speech points in order, first of the causes and then of the effects, or the other way around. Right, so this, you could have multiple causes, you could have single causes, you could have effects before the causes. You hear this all the time right now. There's a presidential debate about to happen. We're going to see this all the time. And these are typically used in more persuasive types of speeches. But you're going to, you've already heard this a lot and you may not have ever even realized it. Right, so for example, one of the examples in the book says, in the thesis statement, in response to rising healthcare costs, large employers are shifting part of the expense to the workers. So your main point 1 is going to be an effect. Workers are now seeing higher copays and deductibles. So a cause, main point 2, would be the Affordable Care Act mandates that large employers offer more of their workers' health care plans. Right, so you see how you're putting an effect and then you're putting a cause in place. And if you refer to chapter 12 of your book, I think this will make a lot more sense. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the persuasive speeches. Okay? Also, with persuasive speeches is your problem solution pattern of arrangement. organizes the main points so they demonstrate nature and the significance of the problem, and then provides justification for proposed solutions. Healthcare costs too much. I have a plan to bring down the cost of healthcare. There's your problem. There's your solution. This is happening all the time in all of these ads that you see for political candidates. It's in their stump speeches. This is all the time. This is all around you. And it's very effective. Okay, another type of organizational arrangement is arranging speech points topically. So what this is referring to, so you can organize your main points as subtopics or categories of a speech topic, and it offers more freedom to structure your speech points. So, for example, in the book, it says your thesis statement, Chicago is an excellent place to establish a career. Main point 1, it has lots of transportation, trains, buses, everything. Number 2, it has a cultural variety. And number 3, there's multiple industries that you could get a really good job at. Now, the thing about this is that those 3 main points, you could have put them in really any order that you wanted to, right? They're not following a chronological arrangement. You know what I mean? So you can have more freedom to be able to put your speech together the way that you'd want to. Right, narrative pattern, very popular organizational arrangement. Your speech unfolds as a story. You have characters, you have conflict or complications, and you have a resolution. And oftentimes this can be combined with other organizational patterns. Now, if you're doing a narrative pattern, do remember that you must still include your major speech elements. So you have a thesis, a preview, a main point, your transitions, everything that we've been talking about and will continue to talk about. Okay, so just keep this in mind. We're going to see a lot of this, and a lot of speeches are a narrative. They are telling a story. Politicians want you to get to know them. And so if you know them, then maybe you'll trust them and maybe you'll give them your vote, right? So this is used quite often. Now, for the purposes of this class, because you obviously have to know your audience, like we've talked about, you definitely, if you're going to use this, you have to practice it, you have to focus, and you have to make sure that you stay on topic and stay within your time frame. Okay, because you can run out of time very easily when you do this. All right, so here's a question on the screen. If you want some extra credit, you can email me the answer to this question. So if you want to take a picture of this or do a screen grab, I'll leave this up for a second. The question is, you are writing a speech showing how to reduce your carbon footprint. What would be the best pattern of arrangement? There's one answer on here that is the best answer. Okay, I'll leave this up for just another second if you want to take a screen grab. And again, you can email me this and I'll give you a couple extra points on your test. Keep in mind with subpoints and main points, the pattern for your subpoints, they can be different than from your main points. But you always want to keep your main points in one pattern, and you're going to use the patterns that make most sense for the subpoints. When you get your feedback for your outlines back, I'll explain this a little more. So don't, I hope you're not lost with this. Okay, I hope that this makes sense, and as we go through the class and as we do more outlines and I give you more feedback, I think that this will make more sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to leave this on the screen as well for just a moment. If you'd like to take a screen grab of this, and in the same email that you're going to send me earlier with the answer to that question, you can also provide your thoughts on these questions. Are certain organizational formats better suited to certain cultures? And how does this diversity influence your decision when choosing an organizational arrangement for your speech? Okay, and there is a little bit of information about this at the end of chapter 12 if you'd like to read about that. It's on one of the last pages of it. It's called A Cultural Perspective, Organizational Patterns, and Diverse Audiences. It's a few paragraphs long, pretty easy read, and that can help you to answer this question. All right, so I'll leave this up for another second in case you haven't got a screen grab yet or you haven't written this down. But again, you can email this to me and I'll give you a few extra points on your upcoming test. Okay, these are open-ended questions, right? So there's not a right or a wrong answer. It's just the idea is to get you to think. Okay, so I'll leave this up for just another moment for you in case you haven't got a screen grab yet. All right. So we have a few minutes left, so I wanted to give you another opportunity to get some extra credit. All right, so what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to watch the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. It's about 17 minutes long, widely regarded as one of the greatest speeches ever made, at least in the history of audio and video recording. And what I'd like is for you to provide me any general thoughts that you have on the speech. First of all, what did you think of it? Was it an effective speech? Just anything that comes to mind when you watch this speech. Also, what I'd like to challenge you to do is point out any organizational arrangements that you see in this speech. Point out any patterns that you see. It could be the organizational arrangements that we just discussed. It could also be, is he doing things like alliteration? Is he doing things like starting each sentence with the same phrase and things like that? How is he changing his tone and his pitch? And what is he doing with his hands, with his mannerisms? How is he speaking? Does he speak confidently? And finally, why was the speech effective, or why did you think it was not effective? Okay, so any thoughts that you want to provide. There's no right or wrong answers. Again, the idea is that you watch the speech and just tell me what you think about it. Okay? All right, so I hope that you found this video helpful. We discussed Chapter 12, Types of Organizational Arrangements. There are questions on your test about this. I know some of us have already taken the test, so good job. I have it open to where you can take it again if you need to, and you have unlimited attempts and you have unlimited time to take it. Okay, but I talked about that more in an email that I sent to the class, so you take that whenever you're ready. It'll be coming up due on October the 4th, I believe. If you can't meet that date for that test, then let me know, okay? All right, well, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you in class. Thanks for watching. Bye.